Hey, hi everybody, and welcome to another Conversations with Geoff. Oh man, we got a great show coming up, so don't go anywhere. If you stopped in here, make sure you stay, right? Because our mission is to share empowering, impactful information from real life guests that are humble, that have done tremendous things in their life, and they're willing to share what their life was like in the battle, right? Because we believe at Conversations with Geoff that the whole gift of life is finding your blessings through the comeback, baby, right? Oh man, then you were able to take this information, this empowering solutions now, because it goes from information to giving you some solutions. So you too out there that know you're meant for more, you too out there that are looking to level up, baby, you too, that person out there that says, man, I know I can do it. I just need a little more help. We're in the right place. Oh man, I got to tell you, you're in the right place, right? Because we believe Conversations with Geoff is that, look, the most underused, underrated gift that we all have, which levels the playing field. I'm going to say it again. It levels the playing field, right? It takes away the excuses about education. It takes away the excuses about money. It takes away the excuses for all you old gray-faced folks about age. I can't do it. I'm too old. All that stuff. And gives you, oh man, what I believe is the juice to get to the next level, right? And that's that conversation you're having with yourself about yourself. Man, and most of the time, I'll raise my hand too, it's circulating around stinking thinking, right? We call it not stinking thinking. I'm talking about that stinking thinking. Ooh, that rotten smell in the trash can, that stuff that just takes your breath away. Oh man, all around past experiences, past failures, rejections that you haven't overcome, disappointments in life, right? Because when you wake up in the morning, hey, look, when you wake up in the morning, I always ask this question. So those of you who are still with me and you're new, just hang in here with me. I always ask this question. When you wake up in the morning and you go in and you flip the light, if you're not going in the bathroom in the dark because your day is already so depressing, you don't want to look up, you don't want to see your life. There's two mirrors that you look at. You look at a distorted mirror and a possibility mirror. So this morning, or whenever you're hearing this, which mirror did you see? What person was looking back at you? Who was looking back at you? Was it that possibility thinker? Or was it that one that's suffering, going through regrets, going through what you failed to do right yesterday, worrying about what's coming up today, which we know we can't control, right? And I like to share this quote, and it talks about faith and fear arise in us. Which one will you choose? Two natures be within my breast. The one is foul, the other is blessed. The one I love, the other I hate. The one I feed will dominate. So you know what? Which one are you feeding? And today you're going to find out from our guest. She's going to drop some things on you that just going to just smash all those excuses and then help you feed the one that's meant for more, the one that's meant to help you, right? And by the way, for those of you that don't know, my name is Geoff Tyson, and I'm known as the Comeback King. And I got that name from folks that have seen me through life, go through all types of setbacks and disappointments. And oh man, some life-changing situations as I've grown into this mature person that I like to think I am today. I always seem to get to the other side, right? When people thought, man, there's no way he's going to make that. And I did, just like many of you. And the blessings, particularly over the last 30 years, and understanding the power and my purpose and your purpose is going to be found in how you battle going through life's comebacks, right? Because you're either going to be in one right now, just finishing one up, or getting ready to start. That's how life is. It's a road if you're out there doing something. I mean, if you're living with your hands tied and you're sitting down and you're complaining all the time and you're not taking any chances, you're not taking any risks, then hey, you might be okay. You might be in that what we call a safe zone. But even you sitting in the safe zone, you're still a human being. You still get up and you go, hopefully look in the mirror, you get in the bathroom, take a shower and all that stuff. So you do qualify for this conversation. Everybody does. Because we all have the chatter going on. Oh man. And look, I'm not going to try and tell you that it's just going to change overnight. You have to do some work around understanding the power of the conversation you're having with yourself about yourself. And it's more about listening to yourself, right? I started to stop just saying conversation, and it's all you're really listening to all the negative messaging or the positive messaging. But I want you not only to listen, but begin to be aware of it. Number one. Number two, I always say number two is hit the pause button, right? Be that disruptor. Be like that Uber in your life or Airbnb. All those two major disruptors. Be the one that disrupts your direction your life is going if it's not where you want to be, right? And then three, be determined to replace that stuff. And that's a process, and that takes some time, takes some work. It's not going to happen overnight, guys. It's just, I wish it was, but it's not. But if you're willing, and I know you're out there, that person, like I said at the very beginning, you're looking for the next level up. You're looking for, oh man, some solutions that can help you get to that next step. Then you're definitely in the right place, right? Oh man. So, hey, listen, this is kind of like our first session back together since we lost the co-founder and our marketing director and our brains and all the Steph a few weeks ago now. So we, in honor of her, we're going to continue on, right? We're going to continue to bring powerful folks on here. We're going to continue to do all the things that we believe we are meant to do around providing a place where you can come in here, get settled in, get ready to do some work, and really, really understand that the conversations that we're having, that you're listening to, can be changed, right? The mirror, the reflection of that person looking back at you can be changed. And it's possible that all the things that you've been chasing that still kind of show up, that whisper every day that says, oh man, hey, for me, it was, hey, Geoff. And when you're going to stand up and step into the self-development platform and share your message, bring people together, because I believe I'm meant to bring people here together so we can become one, right? Whatever that takes. So I challenge you today. If you looked in the mirror and you saw the distorted person, don't stop looking. Take a few things I just mentioned to you, become aware of it, become that disruptor, and be determined to replace it and do some real work. Now, you got to do some real work afterwards, right? And if you're interested in what I'm talking about, my information will be in the chat. Make sure you connect with me. We'll go talk about some other things, right? So I think I'm going to get to our guest, because we just had a chance to chat earlier on, and she's been real gracious, man, and I don't have all of her information and all of that stuff, so she'll tell you a little bit about herself there, but I can tell you, it's been a pleasure getting to know her. And please make sure you take some good notes, right? Because you're going to want to walk away from here with some solutions, baby, right now, not tomorrow, not next week, right now, today, to begin a new journey in your life. So all I can really tell you is she's an H-Town person like me, baby. And dynamite person working on some healthy things that we talked about. And I can tell you, don't miss out. Make sure you're ready to share this. Make sure you're ready to set it up and listen to it again, because you're going to want to get what she's got to offer. And ladies and gentlemen, let me bring to Conversations with Geoff my new friend, Houstonian, Sri Mahabir.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for being here, Sri. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there, man. We're making it work, showing up, doing the best we can. And thank you so much for being here and being a part of phase two, as we move forward. So appreciate you.
You're welcome. It's a new chapter, but it's going to be great, just as great as the first chapter.
Yeah. Thank you for that. And what better person to kick it off with us? And so people can get it. I told them you're in H-Town, but that's about all I told them. And so I want to take a couple of minutes and give them a little background of who you are, and then we'll kind of get into what we always do.
Absolutely. Thank you again for having me on. And so usually I have this whole spiel, but I actually am going to go back to when I was working a 9-to-5 and I wanted to build a legacy and leave a legacy to my daughter. And I knew that the only way to was with owning my own business. And so I started my business in 2019, and then it was placed on my heart, hear the journeys, because people always said testimonials are really important. And
Yeah.
that's when I heard, okay, hear their journeys, but how? Then
Mm.
2020 happened, and then COVID and everything shut down. So I'm like, well, how do I get visibility to my business? How do I get out there? People can know me. And that's when I started seeing Gary Vee, Ed Milet going live, especially on LinkedIn. And I was like, okay,
Mm.
this is something I can do. And I saw my friend going live on Instagram, and that was it. And I started going live on Instagram, and I started to bring on guests, interviewing guests from all over the world. It was a feeling of community. I saw so many entrepreneurs come on that had never gone live, never did video, and I was their first time. And
Mm.
after 100 episodes, I started working with another coach, and that's when she asked me, it's like, okay, if you don't like your first business, what do you have a passion for? And I started talking about the show and helping people get on camera, and that's when she said, this is what you're going to start your next business on, and that is helping entrepreneurs get on camera. And then I started posting on LinkedIn. 6 months later, I got laid off, and I went full into this business of helping entrepreneurs get on camera so that they could bring visibility to their business using live streaming, using video. And then along the way, as I was coaching people and learning how important it is to have content behind it, because one of the things that many complain about is I don't have people coming on to watch my show or to listen to my podcast, or I don't know what topics to talk about. And that's when it occurred to me that, all of this that I've been doing, helping others, you know what? Now I have an agency. You know what? My team and I, we can produce the shows, we
Nice.
can help people get on camera, and we can manage their social media. I do want to say, my one of my clients, who went from a 90-minute session, helped me realize, hey, I you can teach me, but I'd rather you do it for me. And that's how the agency was born.
Mm.
So going into 2023, my team and I, we started working with we had an author, then we brought on a pain management clinic. And then that's when I had these ideas of like, who do I really want to work with? Who do I want to really say, unfortunately, no to? Who will, what will I be promoting out onto my social medias? And that's when I made the decision, because I took time off in June and July. I realized, you know what? I'm going to just focus on the agency. I'm going to focus on medical, dental, and law practices where we are going to come in and help them build visibility to not just their practice, but really to who is on the team, the doctors, the dentists, the lawyers, because behind the scenes, we don't get to meet them necessarily. We meet the team
Yeah.
first, but we would
Mm.
like to know who is representing us, who is going to be working on us. We want to know their story, their journey. What is, how much information do they know? Are they going to be the person that's going to be able to solve my problems? And that's what we do for our clients, is that we don't really create viral content. We don't ever say we're going to create viral content. We're going to
Right.
help you create content that answers the questions of how can you handle or help me with what I'm going through right now, and
Mm.
the different mediums or types of content that's out there, which is maybe a static post, a picture, carousel, a video, or a live streaming show and podcast. So I know it's a long-winded answer, but it is the truth, because there were times during this journey where I felt lost, where I felt like I'm not doing enough, or I'm not good enough, or
Yeah. Yeah.
am I really making a difference for people? And sometimes when we get in our head, we forget that just somebody who was so scared to get on camera is now able to create videos. Like, it doesn't matter that they didn't get a client. For their win is just being able to show up on the camera, on video. And then for others, it's just having a clear understanding. Okay, well, I've seen you create these different types of content. Okay, this didn't work. Now
Mm.
let's try another method before I say, I'm going to throw in the towels, because it's real easy to give up.
Yeah.
You don't see the results, but how many times have we read stories like from David Goggins or Mahatma Gandhi, or even, um, Martin Luther King. They had faced so many closed
Yeah,
doors and so many rough moments, yet
yeah.
they came, they saw there's something on the other side. Just keep going.
Yeah, I love that, and I'm listening to you, man. Our stories parallel in a lot of different ways, and we'll have to circle back around at another time, right? I mean, I love the journey, and as I was listening to you, because I was before COVID, I was anti social media, I was all those things, and I was an old fashioned guy. Let's talk, let's chat, let's build relationships that way, right? And this whole thing, you talked about Ed Millett and some other folks, Tony Robbins and Dean Graziosi became my mentors along the way, and this thing I'm holding up now, my phone, that was that. When you talk about video and showing up for video, I can remember I saved them too, because everybody needs to know that looking at you, I mean, you're tremendous, you're amazing, right? And but when that first time you did the video, I mean, I'm sure it wasn't as easy for you as it seems right now. People are looking at you now thinking, how can I be like her? But I'm telling you, right? To be able to, I mean, I remember doing this and looking in here and sweat was rolling down my back. I was thinking I was talking for the very first time, right? And but here's the thing, and thank you so much for sharing a lot of what you talked about. And what happened though, you talked about two things, a lot of things, but I want to kind of circle back you up just a moment, because you took some time for reflection. A lot of people don't do, and you were willing to put the brakes on things. I think you were just like, okay, I know I'm doing some good things, I'm doing some bad things, but when you really, what was it that made you really say, okay, I got to do something. I got to change. What was really going on in
It
that?
wasn't easy, I'll tell you that. It wasn't it wasn't easy. I actually started working with a coach. Her name is Sonal Bhaskar, and she's here on LinkedIn. And I started working with her, and then she kind of explained to me, we think that we need to have all these activities to do. We think that we need all this noise, because sometimes we think that some of the things that we do is what we need, but it's actually noise. And by working with her, I realized that there were activities that was running away from my business. At that time had 4 shows, and it was just so much going on that she helped me say, okay, let's look at your year. Let's look at, when are you going to take off from all the social media? So you could think. And I was like, okay, I'm really scared, but I guess I'll just do July. And that time was June and July and part of August. And then she said, okay, now let's look at your shows. Let's see which ones are causing too much stress to you and causing you to feel like it's you have a weight on you. And by doing these exercises and helping me walk through what was I was fearing about letting go, I was able to let go of 2 shows, and one and 2 of them I still have. One is my actual show that I do every Thursday, Journey of an Entrepreneur. And then I have the show that I do with Russ and D Scott on Wednesday mornings on Instagram. And so by doing that, as I let go of shows and people, then when I took the time off, I got to really think about what it is I want and what it is it that I want to focus on. And sometimes we think like, oh, what will happen if we take a break? Okay, you took a break. Nothing happened. The only thing that did happen is you can get more clarification on what you're trying to do. And there are ways on your social media that you can, post, or if you're worried about the algorithm. But I will tell you this, that there are so many creators, huge ones, small ones. They all say the same thing. Why didn't I take this break earlier?
Mm.
Because, yeah, when you come back, you got to put some work into it to get back where you were getting the type of reactions and visibility. But sometimes it's necessary because you get creative. You're able to really see things through. What should you let go? What should you keep? And then third, you understand that what's really important, what is going to get you closer to your goals. And now going forward, every year I will take off, July and part of August. And even in my schedule, even in my, like, I am also a coach somewhere else in another group called Night Owl, a small group leader.
Hmm.
I even schedule in breaks there too, because I understand when you remove yourself and you come back, you see things differently.
Yeah.
So at first it will be scary for those who are like, I don't know, but you need it. Your business needs it. Your family needs it. Because if
Yeah.
you can't pour into yourself, how are you going to pour into others?
Oh yeah. That's it. That's it. Well, people, don't you think people sometimes have a hard time putting themselves first, right? Being able to see the value. Right? There's always a reason why it's somebody else should come first, and so I hope everybody out there that hears this understands that, man, it's okay. It's necessary, right? I always go back to the old thing on the airplane. Hey, look, when they tell you if we're gonna crash, what do they say? Put your own mask on first, right?
That's
And
right.
it's hard to do when you're sitting there looking next to your little grandbaby or somebody else like that. But if I can't help myself, I'm no good to you.
Mm-hmm.
And saying that, and I love where you talked about getting a coach, right? I mean, because our mentor, making your decision, because it's just, I believe it's necessary. Invest in yourself, basically, right? Put value on yourself, investing. And you talked about fear of letting go and the noise. So saying no, is it easier now than it was before? When you tell people no, or
It's
how you do?
it's still a little bit hard, but it's not as hard as it was last year. Like, it
Yeah,
was really, really hard.
yeah.
One of the shows that I had to let go of was really, really hard for me.
Mm,
While the other show was naturally, the other person was like, this isn't working out. And I said, okay. But the second one that I had to let go, that was really, really hard because
yeah.
I did really care for the person. I still do. I still
Mhm.
care for my co-host, but at the same time, I could see that it just wasn't working for us.
Yeah.
And making that hard decision is not always easy, especially if your heart is super close to it, but sometimes it's necessary. It's very necessary.
I saw you pause and restate that.
It is, because it's not sometimes, it is necessary. And although I don't talk to the person anymore, but it doesn't mean that I have ill feelings towards them. What happened is, once we went our separate ways, I was able to focus in and start my podcast,
Mm,
which is real crazy because I've been interviewing people for so long and I had like over 200 episodes, that now that I said, okay, let's start a podcast, which is Adventure of an Entrepreneur, that
mm,
also gets released every Thursday. And I'm able to go back and get old episodes and do new episodes. So it's
mm.
like every week is something, you don't know what you're going to get because it's always something different,
Right.
meaning like it could be something really recent that I
Mm,
interviewed, or it could be from years before, which I think is pretty cool because when we think about podcasts, most people just start now, and all
yeah.
their episodes are the ones that they did. I
Yeah.
actually have episodes, like if I never went live again and I never did another episode, I would have enough content to
So,
last me for a while.
yeah. 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 So that kind of speaks to those people out there saying, "How will I have content? I won't have enough content." And you hear that a lot. And I always say, "Listen, your whole life is a library of content. Number one, and like you said, if you do something, right, those are usually people that have yet to do anything, that are saying that. But for you went out there, you got busy doing stuff. Now you can do what you're talking about and have some success with that. So bravo to you for doing that, man. So all this stuff was going on, and now did I hear you right? When you were actually and then you worked for somebody before you jumped into entrepreneurship?
Yes.
Right? You had a 9 to 5, traditional work life, and all of that. In that time as a 9 to 5, was there a whisper in your heart, in your head, saying, "Hey, why don't you try something on your own?" Or did it just come to you because of COVID?
No, no, I had already started in 2019. Like, I
Okay.
had already, for years, I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur, like own my
Yeah.
own business. I
Yeah.
just wasn't sure what. And then
Mm,
in 2019, so in the beginning of 2019, I worked in oil and gas, and they started to have layoffs.
Yeah.
And then I realized, you know what, you cannot take a 9 to 5 with you. So what can I do to help myself
Yeah.
so that when it happens to me, I have something to fall back on? And that's when I started my first business, which is the virtual assistant.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it so happened in 2020, now things are dialed back and I had more time. This is when I took the opportunity to really learn. And that is when I started to build my network. I really focused on Instagram. And then I came over to LinkedIn, and LinkedIn just is a platform that just really did well for me. So I focus more on LinkedIn, but I do post on Instagram and on TikTok. And I also go live on Facebook and
Mhm.
YouTube. But for those who are starting out, I would truly recommend just focus on one platform, really focus in and hone in on who is it that you are targeting. So if it's LinkedIn, then be on LinkedIn. I will always promote LinkedIn because this is where everybody is.
Yeah.
However, you can still get leads, still get business off of Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, and really understand that platform. What kind of content works on that platform? What kind
Mhm.
of content doesn't? But then also go back and understand who is your ideal client. Like, who are they?
Who
Are
are they?
they the individual who is a doctor who just graduated, who wants to start building a presence for themselves, but does not understand what they should be posting?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
and I'll give another example. If you're in real estate, think about your buyers. Who are the last few buyers that you've had throughout the year? Like, just look at last year, and you will start to notice, okay, once you can group them, let's say it's you had teachers, you had mechanics, you had engineers. Then understand, what were their questions that they were asking, and then go into what were the problems they were facing.
Yeah.
Because we see content that's out there that's just like, high level, hey, you can't get a loan, that's what you need to do. But if you can speak to one person,
Right.
their one problem is, then it will really resonate with that person and they will come looking
Yeah.
for you. And it's crazy to think that way, but that's where we have to go back. And that's why I say learn the platform, because I learned, and even though I've been on social media for a few years, even I learned, even though I'm not bigger on Instagram, but my Instagram page is also a landing page. Like, we are taught, if you're huge on LinkedIn, LinkedIn is, when you look at your profile, it's a landing page. So
Yeah.
you want to make it easy for people to know what is it that you do, how can you help them, what are the actions they need to take. Same thing for your Instagram. There is a way
Mhm.
to do that. So even though you don't post often, at least when someone comes to your profile, they know what to do.
Yeah. 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 You speak, I like to think of it marketing as, attract the folks that you're meant to serve and repel the ones you're not,
Yep.
and by identifying exactly who it is what is it that keeps them up at night, right? I mean, what's that thing that spins in their head, and how can you satisfy that? And usually it's your expertise or your mess that you've been through in your life that leads you to what you're doing for people, right? And so now, I gotta ask, because I always ask. I mean, I I want to know, for people out there that are like, man, maybe caught up in some things or facing something that at one point in your life was like a decision maker, one of those forks in the road. You talked about, some things already professionally, but what about, I always hear people still, even very successful people, that talk about the level of self-worth that still shows up, that raises its ugly head, and holds them back from doing things. What can you share in your life, if anything, around that or something similar that people can take away from?
I am still facing it. Every day I wake up and I still have those levels of anxiety. The thought, okay, am I good enough? Am I not good enough? And I'm reading a book called The Fervent,
Mm.
and I want to make sure there's also echo. I don't know if it's me.
Okay, yeah. Sorry about that. How about now? Is it still an echo there? Because I did hear that.
Let me talk.
Okay.
There's an echo.
Yeah.
So, mm,
That's what happens when you got an expert, baby. They like, oh, wait a minute.
yeah, I'll leave and I'll come back.
Okay. Okay. And as she does that, I want you all to know that this is real life, right? We're not here to pretend. We do the things necessary to bring the message, the real message to you out there that are wondering if you can do something different in your life, to let you know that it's possible and it just takes some action. So let's bring her back and see what we got here.
Gotta love live streaming. It's still there, but we'll make the most of it. So what I was saying is I'm reading the book called Fervent, and it's by Priscilla Schreier. And in the book, she talks about, and there was this one quote that really stood out to me. And every time I talk to a friend, I always send that to them because it really does make you think. And it says, if I were your enemy, I'd devalue your strength and magnify your insecurities until they dominate how you see yourself, disabling and disarming you from fighting back, from being free, from being who God has created you to be. And that really stuck to me because every time that I feel like, why is it that this isn't happening, or I'm not getting these type of guests, or I'm not getting these type of clients, or why is it taking so long for certain things, or why is it that the comparison
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah.
But in the midst of it, where I am today is where I was not last year.
Mm.
So I do have clients that I work with, and I do help clients with their social media and producing their videos, or being a moderator for their TikTok live, or coaching them just to be able to post and create content on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
So these are things that wasn't happening last year. And I
Mm.
was speaking to a friend of mine, and she was talking about, I was trying to live the same lifestyle and have the same way of thinking and living when I had my 9 to 5, bringing it into my as an entrepreneur. And we have to understand, when we become an entrepreneur, we are starting from a baby level. So it
Yeah.
takes time to crawl, it takes time to walk, and then it takes time to start running. And after interviewing so many entrepreneurs, I've learned that nothing happened overnight. It was just, they never gave up. They still made a living, but it wasn't the living that they have today. There were 10 years that they were really, worried about, am I going to make it? And they were telling themselves this same thing. Like, if I had an enemy, if I was my own enemy, I would
Yeah.
be trying to devalue my strength and magnify. And when we have these self doubts, that's what we're doing to ourselves,
Mm.
being our worst enemy. Why? We
Right.
already have enough that's negative around us. Why do we do this to ourselves? And that would be whatever I shared, my piece of advice to those who are in the business, and just like, I'm not where I want to be. You're where you need to be. And if
Yeah.
bits need to happen, things that you have been pushing off, like cold calling or going in person to these businesses, start small and keep and do it. And that's how I'm talking to myself. Like, tomorrow I'm
Yeah.
going to go do XYZ, so that I can get out of my head the fears that I have, because at the end of the day, I do know what I'm doing. I've been
Yeah.
studying this. Like I read and breathe social media,
Yeah.
advertising, SEO, podcasting, live streaming, like day in, day out. And
Yes.
I also look at, what are the things that are stopping me from seeing my greatness?
Mm, mm. Man, I'm just sitting here cheering and clapping, uh, to myself, listening to you because it's really, thank you for sharing that. I wrote down the book. I got to get it, because I'm believe in reading and expanding my horizons in that space. So thank you for that and what you shared around that, and that's when I talk about the distorted person looking back. When you look in the mirror, who do you see? Right. And that's goes way back. We all had something happen in our lives that created a scratch in the record, and then the loving, caring thing changed if we had it. Some may never have had it early on, and then something else begins to stack on us and stack and stack and stack and play back and play back and play back all the time. And when you talk about what you're talking about, I love how what would you tell yourself and why? Just really dynamite stuff here. And I appreciate you taking the time out. I'm looking at the time and I already kept you longer than I normally do. And I want to say, man, thank you for this time and all the things that you've shared. So two things, how do people get a hold of you? And then what's one way, what do you got going on that people can access that kind of get a little taste of who you are?
So you can connect with me here on LinkedIn. I can also be found on Instagram and TikTok, Facebook. Basically, you can look me up and you'll find my social medias. And if you are thinking about, maybe I want to do a live streaming show or a podcast, or you have a live streaming event, or you're looking to have somebody handle your social media from creating the content, coming up with the strategy, coming up with the designs, coming up with the copywriting, even coming to you and recording your video and then editing all of it. This is what my team and I can do for you. And then if you're relatively new and you're like, you know what, I don't really need all this. I just want to learn what to post, how to get out there. I do offer that one-on-one coaching.
Okay, one-on-one coaching and all those other things. So, you've touched on so many different things, and I'm going back through my notes, and I write them so fast I have to look at them after the show usually. And I go back and watch this too because there's been so many things that you shared in this short period of time, Sri. What is it as we close this thing up? You talked about self-belief. You talked about the willingness to change. You talked about do it scared. Basically, that's my interpretation. Show up and do it anyway. What do you what do you want to leave this conversation with that we haven't touched on yet? That, or maybe what we've touched on, you want to expand on?
What I want to leave with is that where we are today, we worked really hard to get here. And sometimes we want to go back and say, oh my gosh, I wish I did this. I wish I did that. But guess what? You are here today and you built what you built. So if you feel like you didn't build anything, then that means that you need to change things. But if you
Mm,
feel like you built something and it's not where you want it to be, which is a lot of us, trust me, it's a lot of us, well, you're exactly where you need to be. And I would also encourage do reflection in the morning and in the evening,
mm,
because then you can appreciate that you get to see a new day and you get to bring this greatness of yourself to others. And then in the evening, you can see what greatness has happened in the day. And I've done that now since starting in end of December and started doing all the way until, and I'm still doing it. And I will say it has changed so much about how I see things and the moment that I say, I'm about to compare, I change that.
mm,
Because there's no reason for that. Like the only thing you can say is, okay, what can I do right now so that I can have a different result? Because what I'm doing currently isn't working. So if you're just posting online and you're not going out in public and connect and networking in person, change that.
Mm. You said something like, I can't let you get away with. Stop comparing. You said, what do you think there? But what does comparing do? How does it serve you? What purpose? What was it like? What were you comparing things? What was going on that you started comparing? What made you come?
So if I'm going to compare myself, I'm going to compare myself to somebody who's doing the same thought process as I am, but they're just
Mm-hmm.
a little bit ahead of me. Because
Yeah.
there's nothing wrong with that type of comparison. Because you're
Right.
seeing what someone is doing that's doing great things. What are they reading? What kind of
Yeah.
thoughts are they putting into their mind? What activities are they doing? You don't have to do the same things, but at least it'll give you ideas. If you start to compare to someone who's posting like, I've made, six figures and I have the perfect life. Is it really perfect? Do we really know the whole story?
Yeah.
And that type of stuff doesn't help because
Right.
honestly, we don't know their whole story. Because
Okay.
in the back end, they could be really struggling and they could see you being this force of nature that is out there doing great things. And I had that actual conversation. I had a friend of mine reach out to me and she's like, you inspire me after a video I had posted. And I was like, what do you mean? And she's still working a 9 to 5. And surprisingly to me, she has a very successful side business that it makes enough money for her that she doesn't need her 9 to 5, but she's not there yet because she
Yeah.
thinks that she needs more. And I was just like, but you are where, honestly, you don't need the 9 to 5. You have
Yeah.
everything you need in your business.
Yeah. 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 But when you start looking over the fence at other people's things, all kinds of distorted thoughts come along. And I asked about comparing because that happens so often, and you said, be willing to start small. People don't, and me included, are hesitant about appearing small and starting small. But, as we wrap this up, Denzel Washington said it at a graduation speech. You got to be willing to suck at whatever it is you do until you become great. And just focus on you and not anybody else. But it's so hard to do sometimes. So thank you for those closing words. And Tree, man, it's been a blast. I could keep you here all morning, and I won't though. But let me thank you again for taking your time out and being a part of our phase 1, phase 2 beginning. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
It's been a pleasure. Fantastic. We'll talk again soon. All right. Have a good day.
Bye, everybody.
Bye bye. All right. Hey, look, I told you guys, man, you want to make sure you get this thing out to people and go back and listen to and take some more notes around what she talked about. Please reach out to her if you have some more desires to continue your relationship with her. Sri is really what you see is what you get, and I see her show with a mutual friend, an acquaintance, business associate, Russ Edge, and check out her shows if you can. And man, I'm going to just tell you, if you're still out there and you stay with us, or somebody that's just one thought away, one effort away, one step away, just remember that it's worth it. You are worth it. Nothing shall stop you from reaching your destiny. I say it every show. Nothing will stop you from reaching your destiny. You will not be denied. I want you to tell yourself that. And remember, if it's possible, then you can do it. Don't worry about how. If it's possible for someone else has done it, you can do it too, right? So listen to me when I tell you this. We really appreciate it. Make sure you subscribe, share this information, reach out to me if you want to get more details about some of the other things that we've talked about. I encourage you to do that. We've got some things we're working on coming up in Q3, and now's a good time to start talking about that. And as I leave you today, I'll ask you, please, please, please remember that your gift, your message is found in the battle of the comeback, baby. And that conversation you're having with yourself about yourself is one of the critical things that you can do to change how you see yourself. You change how you see yourself, you change how you be, and you change the result of your life, baby. So listen, show some love in the chat when you hear this to our guest, and make sure that you continue to take that next step. Reach out to me. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next Conversations with Geoff. Watch that stinking thinking, baby. It's never going to help you. All right.